In this video, we shall talk about evolution of homeopathic repertory, part 1. For our convenience, we have divided the growth or the development of homeopathic repertory into 4 parts: early repertories, middle age repertories, late repertories, and recent repertories. In this video, we shall talk about the early repertories of Hahnemann time. Then we come to another period where Boenninghausen wrote several repertories. Hahnemann wrote yet another letter to Dr. Boenninghausen from Cochin on June 30th, 1834, which I quote: "After considering the matter with Mr. Jahr, I find that it is impossible to arrange a repertory differently from that which you and Jahr have compiled, and you can be perfectly satisfied. Only a dictionary of symptoms would give the seeker more complete information." Hahnemann. Boenninghausen's first repertory was published in 1832. It was called as Repertory of Antisorics. It was prefaced by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and the second edition was published in 1833. Dr. Boger translated second edition that was published in 1833 into English in the year 1900, after 2/3 of a century after its publication in 1832. Boenninghausen wrote yet another repertory in 1835, which was called as Repertory of Medicines which are not antistoric. In the very next year, in the year 1836, wrote yet small repertory on relative kinship of homeopathic remedies in German, concordances. This had lot of mistakes. This repertory subsequently became, after correction, the last part of the therapeutic pocket book, the next repertory which Dr. Boenninghausen compiled. Boenninghausen compiled yet another, the most important, most valuable early repertories during this era, therapeutic pocket book, although it is the most controversial book. It took Boenninghausen 10 years work between 1835 and 1845. This repertory is the acme of repertory work. It dominated the scene for over 50 years, and it has undergone several editions, translations, and revisions from people like Hempel, Oakey, Timothy Field Allen, C.M. Boger, and Herbert Robb. Let us examine Boenninghausen's contribution in the development of repertory in a critical way. Boenninghausen's repertories are complete, they have brevity, and they are easy in consultation. They are alphabetic in arrangements, and the remedies are graded relatively according to their value. The philosophical basis of construction of Boenninghausen repertory, based on principle of generalization, prime importance to modalities, the doctrine of concomitant is given higher evaluation, and the importance to physical general symptoms are given. Many people have criticized Boenninghausen for not giving in detail mental symptoms, and his explanation was that the mentals and the particulars of the case are to be compared through the homeopathic materia medica and not at the level of repertory, and therefore he has only given general, broad, objective mental symptoms in his repertory. According to Boenninghausen, the totality of symptom was one grand symptom of the patient comprising all the 3 elements, namely all the locations, all the sensations, and all the modalities. Nothing was left out. Two gentlemen criticized Boenninghausen's repertories for different reasons. They were Dr. Herring and Dr. J.T. Kent. Herring criticized Boenninghausen for converting the particular modalities into general models, called it pathological generalization. This he is mentioned in the introduction to his repertory called Analytical Repertory of Mind. But if you go through the repertory, he has admitted that Boenninghausen's work has been made free use of throughout in this work. Similarly, Dr. J.T. Kent criticized Boenninghausen for grand generalization. This is mentioned in his book, in his lecture compilation called New Remedies, Clinical Cases and Lesser Writing. But if you go through the preface of the first edition of Kent's repertory, Kent admits that to those who have used Boenninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook, the working out of cases is a familiar method. Not only that, Kent in his Materia Medica have followed literally Boenninghausen. If you read his lecture on sulfur, particularly the eye symptom, and if you read the lycopodium, particularly in hemorrhoid cases, you will find that he is speaking Boenninghausen's language. Therefore, the criticism of Dr. Herring and Dr. Kent is wholly unwarranted and misleading too. On the other hand, both Dr. Carol Denham and senior Dr. Adolf Lippi appreciated the work of Boenninghausen. The two great exponents of Boenninghausen's repertory and who made his work better known to the homeopathic profession were Dr. C. M. Boger and Dr. H. A. Roberts. Dr. Timothy Field Allen edited this work earlier, and later on Dr. H. A. Roberts made some minor changes in some of the rubrics. And we have today a therapeutic pocketbook with the addition of T. F. Allen and H. A. Roberts. Dr. H. A. Roberts recommended very strongly this work, where he mentions, and I quote, for a brief and comprehensive classification of homeopathic symptomatology for therapeutic purposes, no plan has ever been devised superior or equal to that of Boenninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook. Boenninghausen's methods are supreme in obscure cases, cases with paucity of symptoms, cases where modalities are predominant and concomitants are well marked, and also cases having pathological and objective symptoms. Boenninghausen's repertory has been a very useful instrument in the hands of pre-Kentian generation of homeopaths who swore by it. Even students of Dr. Kent like Dr. Gladwin, Dr. Harvey Farrington and Dr. Elizabeth Hubbard have admitted that Boenninghausen repertory is still supreme in obscure cases, cases with paucity of symptoms, cases without mental symptom, or cases having strange, rare and peculiar symptoms, and the cases with predominant modalities and cases with objective symptoms. Boenninghausen, therefore, is rightly termed as father of homeopathic repertory, although repertory started with Hahnemann. Yet, we consider Boenninghausen as father of homeopathic repertory. Why? Because this repertory is the basis of all future repertories. Many repertories have borrowed something or other from this repertory. Jahr, Allentown Register, Lippi, Kent and Boger followed his method of compiling repertory later on. This flow diagram shows that how Boenninghausen's work was literally gone down to even Kant's repertory. Many things were borrowed by Manual of Allentown Academy Register from the Boenninghausen, and many things borrowed from Manual of Allentown Academy by two gentlemen, Lippi and Lee. And the work of Lippi and Lee was summarily borrowed by Dr. Kant. That's how indirectly, directly, Boenninghausen's work continued, made use of in Kant's repertory too. Boenninghausen was a man far ahead of his time. He raised the homeopathic repertory, which was a mere index to homeopathic materia medica, to the pedestal of a system and a method for finding similar remedy. And therefore, no wonder he is called as father of homeopathic repertory. In the next video, we shall talk about the early repertory or Hahnemannian time era's repertory. Thank you.